Hey y'all, Shark Scrapper. You may recall from a previous video, I brought in some of an HVAC system that was given to me. Well, let's get the A-frame or the tent broken down. What do you say? So here's the tent, and we have copper aluminum radiator, the copper return or noodles. We need to get those cut. Generally speaking, when you have this metal part with the copper on it, it's called refinery. So if we can cut those, we'll get at least number 2 copper. Still have the refinery and the copper aluminum radiator. And then of course there's shred all over the place here. Plus a little bit of brass. All right, so let's get to cutting. Well, first we're gonna have to do some unscrewing and then we can do some cutting. I'm thinking 5/16. Yeah, that looks about right. All right, that was all nastied up. Let's see what about you? There we go. All right. Get out the way. There we go. All right. Now then. This is just a plastic drip pan for condensate. That's trash. Get our shred out the way, along with some screws here. Now this copper is pretty thin, so I can do this with my wire, my edge cutter that I use for my wire. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and cut it right off of this brass piece right away. And I'm going to take a load of copper in today, so I'm just going to throw this right in. Why am I taking it in today? Well, it's the end of the year. This will be my last non-ferrous run for this year. I want to try to top off a few things if I can. Brass. All right, time to do some real cutting. All right, remember, safety first. So we have to get these soldered joints off of that to try to get some more #1 copper here. And here's a soldered joint here. And these are going to be soldered in as well. So I think we're just going to throw, well, we'll get a little bit of #1 cut off here, and then most of this is going to end up being #2. I really enjoyed the small DeWalt battery operated grinder. I've got a Diablo cutoff wheel on it. It really makes these smaller cut jobs much easier and faster. If you're interested in getting one of these for your shop, there's a link to my Amazon store in the description down below. Yes, I get a small commission, which is greatly appreciated. That's a pretty good cut. One layer of aluminum. So that's a pretty good cut there. This is a terrible cut because I've got a lot of aluminum that is still going to get, that is still here. And so, you know, I'll lose a little bit. You know, we're not talking a whole lot of money, but still, this is not a good cut. The closer you can get to the steel, the more value you'll get when you sell the copper aluminum radiator. On this cut, because the returns are so prominent, I'm going to cut the returns off for the copper. So I'm going to cut on the outside of the ferrous sheet. The noodles are going to fly all over the place here when I do it. Some of them will land in my bin. Many of them will go on the deck. We'll sweep them up. And then I can go in and cut off the metal piece, which will be the refinery, but I'll have separated the #2 copper real well. So you got these are what people call noodles. #2 copper, definitely #2 here because it's got the weld. Your yard will probably call this #2 because it had refrigerant passing through it. So they will frequently call that #2 if it had anything other than maybe water going through it. And the yards all know what the stuff is. Now, you know, your yard may let you have it for #1. Just, it's up to your yard. All right, it's our last non-ferrous run of the year, so we're gonna see what prices are like. Copper aluminum radiators, #2 insulated copper wire, some refinery Christmas lights, number 1 insulated, extruded aluminum motors, and batteries, lead acid batteries. So we've got a good mix of things here so that we can get a nice read on prices for the end of 2023. I'll let you know how it plays out. Number 2 insulated copper wire, 50 pounds at 80 cents a pound, $40. Lead acid batteries, 105 pounds at 22 cents a pound for $23.10. Clean ACR or aluminum copper radiator, 19 pounds at $1.65 a pound for $31.35. Small electric motors, and the transformers go as copper bearing motors as well. 99 pounds at 36 cents a pound for $35.64. Aluminum heat sinks from the PCs. My Yard buys them as extruded aluminum. That was 26 pounds at 60 cents a pound, $15.60. Number 1 insulated copper wire, 17 pounds at $2.25 a pound for $38.25. Yes, some of that was strippable, but I brought it in just to get a price check. Christmas lights, after all, it is the season. 5 pounds at 35 cents a pound for $1.75. Refinery. Now, I also had some copper aluminum heat sinks that My Yard is now buying as refinery. They used to buy them as copper aluminum radiators. Now they're buying them as refinery. So it was a total of 12 pounds at 80 cents a pound for $9.60. And last but not least, number 1 copper, 22 pounds at $2.95 a pound for $64.90. That makes our complete run here, our last non-ferrous run for the year, $260.19. I'm going to try to squeeze in a couple of ferrous runs next week. My non-ferrous yard will be closed, but the yards where I take my ferrous material to will still be open. So, we'll try to top off the year with a little bit more. I hope you all have a great holiday, however you celebrate. And if you don't see me before the end of the year, have a wonderful New Year's.